during the period of time here, I'd gone into a strategy of we're going to recover from this thing through technology. Because we were so smart on this side of the mountain, we're going to recover with technology. And I got involved in scrap tire recycling and things like that. And we had an awesome technology going, but I was draining the company on getting this technology. The whole attitude there was this was going to home run, the home run attitude. And that is, I'm going to hit the home run that's going to bring the ball team to victory. Well, not. Because God's not in that when you think you can do it. So, praying every day, doing that kind of stuff. Individual that was very close to me and instrumental in our life. We had a contract going with Jacksonville, Florida, $1 million contract for the first machine to be sold. $1 million a crack on these machines. I had a contract with a New York company for $10 million for the first 7 machines for 10 machines, 7-state distributorship. $450 million company, had his own Learjet, flew into Rock County every once in a while. I met with him, association again. And the Jackson guy flies up. We have dinner at the Ramada Inn. The dinner's over at 10 o'clock. Nancy and I are going to go home for our beauty sleep, right? Well, the meeting didn't get over until midnight because my manager had a meeting after our meeting got over. And guess what? Offered this whole technology and everything to this company. So the next day I had a meeting with the Jacksonville guy, born again Christian, comes in, pulls out a check for $100,000 out of his pocket and shows it to me. He says, that was the check that was going to put the down payment on the machine. I can't do it now. He says, you got problems inside your organization. He says, I'm going to go home and I'm going to call you and tell you about it. 24 hours later, I get a telephone call. Les, come on down to Jacksonville. All right. $1 million projects usually get my attention pretty quick when you're in that position. I hop a jet, I go down to Jacksonville, in the airport parking lot, opens the trunk of his car. He says, do you see something at the bottom there? Yep, envelope. Open the envelope up. Here it is, a contract for a new company signed by my guys that are on the team. My friend, my best friend. All right. He says, that's why I can't invest in this company. All right, I go back, I fire the guy, and fire both of them. Long story short, get involved in, we're up to here in this project. He comes, asks forgiveness. How many times are you supposed to forgive your brother? Brought him back on the team. Got to have him. Key man, got to have him. Hired another guy to watch him. See, this guy was worse than him. I'm standing there before computers. I'm standing there with in front of their drawing boards, and they're drawing out vacuum immaculators or whatever. And I said, "What's this?" Well, this is something. They're designing equipment on my stuff for their company, for a contact that we had made. This man's wife could not stand it any longer, and these are born-again Christian brothers and sisters. Could not stand the pillow talk anymore. And came to Nancy and said, I have to tell you this. This is what my husband's doing. Now that took guts for that woman to do that. But she couldn't stand to be doing something against God's will. It's not God's will for you to do that to your employer. And well, when we learned about that, we shut the whole thing down. It was gone, done. There was no way that I was going to control it, do anything with it. By that time, the bank had moved in for a chapter 7, shutting down the plant, the whole thing. They forced us into a chapter 7, but because Lenan Corporation had all the assets when we had had our first problem, technicalities, they resold us the company and started us off, allowed us to go on. no money or anything. Some people lost some money on that. That I feel bad about. But in the world of business, you take a look at your own heart. And Nancy and I did everything we could to keep that going. We sold our house, we sold our factory, everything. And it wasn't our call to do that. So that was out of our hands. So we went, when that happened, we ended up a year later in Chapter 11 because it's a spiral down. And on April of 1990, we are the only 2 employees of our company again. Face down in the mud. Owe the bank $300,000. Everything's lost. That's when I noticed this guy standing over at the side. And he looked a whole lot like Jesus Christ, and a whole lot like the Holy Spirit. I looked at him and I said, I can't do this on my own. This home run attitude and all that, I can't do this on my own. I see now that I had left you out of this whole plan. I called on you in the good times, but I'm going to do it. Me. Well, he gave me a word. He said, focus. Focus. Number 1, focus on me and focus on my word, that I will never let you down. And then number 2, focus on what I gave you that you know best. That's waste oil heaters. You know how to build that. You know how to sell them. You don't know anything about satellite dishes. You don't know anything about scrap tire burners. You don't know anything about this. Focus on that. And if that means anything to somebody, that was a turning point in our life. The word focus. Focus first on Jesus Christ. Make sure you got him in your heart and that you're in good relationship with him. Count on the Holy Spirit that he gave you to live inside of you and to direct you. And from that day on, that line tells a story. From that day on, we were successful one step at a time. Little steps, a little bit bigger steps. Constantly growing a little at a time, trusting him with everything, until all of a sudden in year 2000, Y2K hit. Right here. And there's 53% growth. Well, I looked back and I said I learned a whole lot about fast growth.